On behalf of Reading Area Community College, I want to welcome you to the Berks County Poets Laureate Celebration. President Susan Looney and our Board of Trustees welcomes you to the first of our virtual experiences here for National Poetry Month in Berks County. Much planning goes into making this event special for our new Poets Laureate. I would like to thank Berks Bards, Barrio Allegra, and the Berks County Library System for their promotion and support of the 9th Berks County Poet Laureate competition. RACC received 41 submissions for the 9th Poet Laureate competition. For this year's competition, the Poet Laureate Committee, comprised of past poet laureates and other literary grassroots people within the community, selected 7 manuscripts to send to 2 national-level judges. To honor our semifinalists, we asked them to submit a reading of one of their poems, which you can enjoy throughout this production. Our semifinalists for this year are Nina Edinger, Brandon Krig, Judy Spicher, Crystal Stone, David Nasario, and Andrew Vogel. The Berks County Poets Laureate is a tradition that dates back to 1996. Anthony Orozco, who you will hear later tonight just blow you away, is our 9th Poet Laureate and joins a talented group of local poets. Please join me in honoring these poets.
Our first Poet Laureate was Harry Humes, who authored several books of poetry including Winter Weeds, Robbing the Pillars, Throwing Away the Compass, Ridge Music, The Way Winter Works, and The Bottomland. Our second Poet Laureate was named in 2002 when he was still a student at Kutztown University. Now, Dr. Sittler, he is an assistant professor and instructional technology information literacy librarian at University of California, Pennsylvania State System. He has co-edited with Dr. Doug Cook 2 books based on library pedagogy. The third Poet Laureate is Dr. Heather Thomas, who was named in 2008. She has authored 7 poetry collections: Vortex Street, Blue Ruby, Resurrection Papers, Practicing Amnesia, as well as 3 chapbooks, including a poetry art collaboration. Her poetry has been honored with a Rita Dove Poetry Prize, 2 Gertrude Stein Awards in Innovative American Poetry, and the Temple University Academy of American Poets Prize. A professor emerita of English, Kutztown University, Dr. Thomas teaches creative writing at Cedar Crest College and also conducts workshops. Craig Chury was named the 4th Poet Laureate in 2010 and is the author of over 20 books of poetry, most recently Thumbnose Almanac, Hitchhiking, The Marcellus Shale, a poetry documentary woven from his hitchhiking interviews in the heart of fracking in his home region of northeastern Pennsylvania. Maria McDonnell was named the 5th Poet Laureate in 2012 and has published poems in print and online library magazines, including Paradigm, Steel Point Quarterly, and Parlor. She has received awards from Writer's Digest and Mulberry Poets and Writers Association. Her poem, Joyride, was nominated for a Pushcart Prize. In 2008, her first book-length collection of poetry, First I Learned My Name, was published by Foothills Publishing. Maria McDonnell teaches writing at Albright College. Nancy Yeager was named the 6th Poet Laureate of Berks County in 2014. She enjoys working on poetry projects from the community to national level. Her poems have appeared in publications including First Literary Review East, the Sunbury American, and the Word Keepers Anthology. A former English teacher at Brandywine Heights High School, she now teaches writing part-time at Reading Area Community College. Dr. Sandra Fees was named 7th Poet Laureate in 2016. She has been published in New Madrid, Touch, A Journal of Healing, Yellow Chair Review, and Foothills Publishing's Birdsong Anthology. Finishing Line Press published her first full-length collection, The Temporary Vase of Hands, in 2016. Dr. Fees serves as an ordained minister at the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Berks County in Reading. Jane Reliford Brown was named 8th Poet Laureate in 2019. She is the author of My First Real Tree, a book of poems from Foothills Publication. Her poems have appeared in several literary journals, including Blue Line, Cedar Press Review, and Alligator Juniper, as well as she has been published in anthologies that include All We Know of Pleasure, El Vuelo de la Guía, The Flight of the Eagle, Poetry on the U.S.-Mexican Border, and has in the title poem, I Am Becoming the Woman I've Always Wanted. Her poem, Finding Her Here, has been widely distributed as a poster, translated into Mandarin and Russian, and was commissioned as a choral work by Anna Cruces' Women's Chorus. Jane holds a Master's of Fine Arts in Creative Writing and Poetry from San Diego State University. She was a college professor since 1988. She recently retired from Penn State, where she taught creative writing and composition.
Please welcome Jane Reliford Brown, 8th Berks County Poet Laureate.
Hello. I have the distinction of being the Poet Laureate of the lockdown. I'm going to read two poems that I've written during this time. The first one is about something that I miss very much, in addition to family, to reading with other poets, to going to coffee shops and writing, are some of the things I've missed. And this is about one thing I also miss a great deal: to browse again. I want to browse again someday. I want to browse just like it sounds, a round glide of a word, loose in the body, easy on the mind. To hang around, that's what I want. To be somewhere, to loaf and lean in real time. Now, even the browser's bookshop is closed. Everything feels flat, a life reduced to lists, as dull as dish soap, as disposable gloves, as cold and bland as sanitizer for your hands. I want to wander down aisles again, to squat on the floor of Firefly books, to open a cover and read the first page, and breathe the old paper smells of vanilla and sage. Or to gently rock the shopping cart as I work my way down aisles of shirts, letting my brain go blissfully blank. Look, I'll mask up as long as it takes, and I'll hurry home for all our sakes. But one day, I want to wander again in the marketplace with a naked face, to lift a cantaloupe and feel its heft, admire its webbing, the blush underneath, to push in its little umbilicus, to lift that melon up to my face, to stop and inhale its dusky grace. The second poem is one that I have to thank our new Poet Laureate for. It's part of Anthony Orozco's project, Penn Street City of Poems. And I thank him for creating the opportunity to write this. And it's about real things I've seen in Reading over the last few years, starting with 2 years ago right here. So my poem is called Penn Street Poetica. It starts with a brief quote that's at the base of the statue, The River Speaks, that you'll see just about a block from here. And the quote is, all enclosed within the gentle curving of the river as it flows. Penn Street Poetica. Where the avenue becomes a street, the Schuylkill River speaks, if not in circles, in swerves and curves, music and dance and circles of words. When you cross the bridge, First glance might seem like too many dollar stores, not enough bucks. But up the stairs and down the streets, the city of Reading is poetry struck. High school poets sit on the steps of the Citadel, look out over row homes and row themselves home. The poems they write make up their maps. In the big windowed room at the Goggle Works, local bards aim their lenses on daily life. They magnify miracles, open the mic. By the library steps, fairy tales unfold, today's grim stories retold. Where stolen children were hastened away, here they're avenged and returned in a glorious dance. Up Barrio Allegria's stairs, popcorn and poems are popping like mad. Fingers snapping, poets laughing, deft rhymes clacking, shared tears and joys. Alone on stage, the flame-haired dancer moves to words and the silence between. She raises one arm in a gentle curve. All is enclosed, like the river's bend where the city flows. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane, for that beautiful performance. Next, I'd like to introduce our semifinalist videos. We had 5 poets out of the 6 that could submit a video to us. So let's take a moment to not only celebrate Anthony, but certainly the poets who submitted this time around. Oftentimes we see poets that have submitted a few times, but really that speaks to the talent and the culture that we have here for the literary arts. So let's take a few moments.
Hi, I'm Brandon Krig, and I'm going to read my poem, Dusk Fugue. Dusk Fugue. Looking down from an overpass, looking up through the canopy, the contrails, the sunset are not different things. The mine and the prison in the hairs on our heads. Your face in my hands, I see where a canyon goes too steep for grass. Last colors before stars under the skins of the apples dropped in piles for flies. Last colors before stars in the flies' shimmering bodies. In our bodies bright salmon stand beneath sunflowers. From our mouths an oak's breath talks justice at a benefit. The stripped terraces of a mine mean your voice in my hand. The barred terraces of a prison mean olives and wine. Coordinated sprinklers keep the coal mounds wet. A phone vibrates. A nerve agent twitches to death the boy in his father's arms. Some will be shielded by the wave as it passes. Somehow my face is not even wet, my mouth opened and said. Mine and prison, apple and fly, sunflowers, coal mounds, his boy and mine. The wave and your face, the deaths and the benefits are not different things. Last colors before the canyon goes too steep for grass.
Hello, my name is Judy Spicher. I'd like to thank you for this opportunity to share my poetry. The poem I'm going to read today is titled 10-Cent Zoris. My 10-cent Zoris snap, pop. I tempt invisibility in my patriotic striped shorts, yellow turquoise flowered shirt. Freeway, thrum, air swish noise, smog, disfigured sunset, accompany me down scalded sidewalks. A delinquent daughter, a defiant odyssey, down and across neighborhood streets. Past Luigi's pizza heaven, Marie's beauty salons, noxious tang of perms and gossip. Anxious now, one last landmark to pass. Mother Talk has warned me what can happen to girls who tempt the corrupt, lying in wait in twilight shadows of Poncho's bar in the evening, after the streetlights come on. I hunch my shoulders, quicken my pace, struggling to ignore the whiskey, cigarette, beer decadence roiling out the bar door, accompaniment provided by Paul Anka and his baby. Silent hosannas offer to my guardian angel, few more steps, off-ramp liquor store, bright beacon sanctuary, custodian of all things candy. I purchase crucial 15-cent Cracker Jacks and realize I must risk these harrows again. Was it worth molasses, popcorn, peanut surprise inside? Thank you.
It is my very deep pleasure now to introduce our 9th Poet Laureate of Berks County, Anthony Orozco, AKA Glyph in the poetry community. Anthony is a professional journalist, an outstanding and vibrant poet and performer, an experienced and amazing educator and community arts activist in the city of Reading. He was born and raised in a bicultural home in Hamilton, Ohio, and luckily for us came to Berks in 2012 to join the Reading Eagle newspaper. He's led workshops for storytellers and poets of all ages in and around the city. Anthony was the artist in residence and curator of the Penn State City of Poems anthology, which you've heard about, which included performances, visual arts, and workshops all over the city of Reading, and which continues in a virtual identity through the pandemic. Currently, Anthony Orozco works as a reporter for WITF, as a Report for America Corps member, and he is leading the Telling True Stories Club, in which Reading youth learn how to responsibly and accurately tell the real stories of real people. I asked Anthony if he had any thoughts about what he wanted to do during his time as Poet Laureate, because I know he's such a community activist and so caring about people. I had the pleasure of going to a couple of his workshops and got poem ideas and inspirations. He says, I think it's safe to say that I'm going to continue my work in helping people tell their own stories and the stories of the places that matter to them. His entire work here in Berks, ever since he came from Cincinnati, has been, he says, not to give a voice to people. That may sound odd, but as Anthony says, it's a cliche, and of course, everyone already has a voice. Some voices are just ignored or don't have the volume to reach people. Rather, he says, I want to help them craft their message as beautifully as possible, place a microphone to their lips, and teach them how to shout it to the world. He says, I want to bring poetry alive and dispel any rumors that it is creaky, dusty, or dead. Poetry is active. It is a verb to me, he said, and it is transformation. So it is my utmost pleasure and honor to introduce our new Berks County Poet Laureate, Anthony Orozco, AKA Glyph. Thank you.
Well, as Poet Laureate of Berks County, I think it's only appropriate that I open with a poem about lanternflies. When we heard about the invasion of lanternflies, of this invasive species, I heard a lot of things that made my ears perk, and, well, I guess I should just read the poem. Ode to the Spotted Lanternfly. They say there are too many of you, that you do not belong here. You endanger our way of life. They search for you under cars and trucks, like some stowaway coming to take what you haven't earned. They say you'll destroy the economy and collapse the environment, as if they don't do that plenty themselves. They forget that there is no old-growth forest in Pennsylvania because they cut it all down and sold it away 100 years ago. And they call you the invasive species as they stand on land they stole from another people. Exotic creature, untrusted immigrant, your name carries light. You illuminate their true nature. They decorate sidewalks with your colored bodies. They crush you and make it feel like community service. Your survival is a crime here. Good luck going unnoticed. Keep your head down and welcome home. And there go the lanternflies, flying away. All right, so I don't want to read a lot of poetry. I want to recite some poetry. I believe that poetry is not static. I think it's something dynamic. I think it's something that moves. I like to use the analogy. I have a mask of a leopard, a Mayan leopard mask in my home, and it's beautiful. It stands, it hangs on a wall, and it's nice to look at. I love it. It connects me to my past. It's a beautiful piece of art. That is very different from a live, hungry leopard chasing you around your house. And that's what I think live poetry is. I think it's that live leopard. So let's see if I can work something up here. Let's see. I think I'm actually going to do an oldie and a goodie because it tells my story about coming from Cincinnati, Ohio to Reading. I haven't done this in a very long time. We'll see if I can remember it all. And it is called eponym. Eponym is a thing that is named after its creator. And I named myself Glyph in poetry, which is the written word, Glyph. And I created that name at the same time that I wrote this poem. Well, I came here to become a reporter. And one of the things that I heard when I got here was a room full of people making their stories, creating their stories, clickety-clack, clack, 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 clickety-clack, clack. And in the old days, they used to have typewriters, clickety-clack, clack, clickety-clack, clack, ding. And you just slide the thing over. But that sound echoed in my mind. And so this poem is sort of inspired by that echo. And it goes, there was a twilight once, still glowing with the heat from the day that came before it, and the sun gilded the back of a poet at a loss for words. Following his stretching shadow east, he was backlit, leaving behind him a plot that had gone stagnant, pulled like a magnet out of the labyrinth and into the night. And though his moments got darker, he knew that his days would be brighter because time is a typewriter type of writer. Its inklings trickle with each tap smacking the cackling script. He knew not the endings of the scene, but he wrote it with the choices that he lived. Tickety-tack-tack, tick, tickety-tack-tack, ding. And so it seemed there were no stars in the sky, but rather countless asterisks, annotations of his actions and absences as a blasphemous pacifist who never mastered peace, shattered by a catastrophe. He had to pack his bags and leave to craft his own masterpiece, tickety-tack-tack-ding. And into hours onyx black he rode, as his tires tread read the Morse code of dashes, lines, cracks, and splits, tacked and ticked into the road, revealing a new prose etched into the tar-dark parchment. The departure from the home he had known couldn't harm him. He was scarred from the startling carnage of losing his father. He was hardly farther than an arm's length before he longed for his author's heartbeat, But in his car he drove quicker and tacticker, patterned on neither literature nor litter, exactly, tickety-tack-tack-ding. He didn't know whether to sing or scream, but drastic tactics acted as his atlas as he attacked with passion the new chapter he was after, and punctuation fluctuated between disaster and laughter. But he welcomed their ink blots to splatter, unexpected delicate elegance on a future as blank as alabaster, tick-tacker, tacker-tick. His premonitions were woven in intricate transcendent limericks, visions in writing like hieroglyphic dreams, tick-tick, tack-tack-ding. He didn't know if he was brave or just crazy, but he traveled long enough to see the rays creep from the horizon that could not contain the same sun that had seen him make his way east. And in the day's heat, the pages were lit aflame with the name he wrote in a poetry swirled like paisley. And that dawn brought with it a glorious turning of page, where he understood wordplay and turning of phase, where he saw the beauty in the potential for change, especially in the markings that time ticks away to this day. And it is our poet, not his past, who determines what they will say. And the next poem I want to do for you, I was inspired to write for the Centro Hispano. They had an anniversary gala, and they invited me to share some of my poetry, which was an honor in itself. And of course, this area that we're in is very unique. The type of people who inhabit this place, who have, who are, and who will inhabit this place is changing, is growing, and is beautiful. So this poem is for them, and it's called Mano a Mano. You and I, our hands are very much the same. Their shape, colors, and scars may be different, but we carry the same things in our hands. When you interlace your fingers with those of another dancer, when you wield the much-feared chancla, when you slam down the winning domino, your hands will be my hands. When you ring the bell on the ice cream cart that you push up Penn Street, when you make the chimney that fills the air on Franklin, your hands will be my hands. When they tell you to stop waving foreign flags with pride, when they tell you to stop waving foreign flags with pride, even though so many times they've told you to go back to your country, even though you were born here, your hands will be my hands. When you build your business, build your home, build this country from the ground up, your hands will be my hands. When you are too dark, your accent too thick, when you don't have your papers, when you are shackled and caged, your hands will be my hands. When you resettle here, when you resettle here and you bring the island within you, not only your salsa and sancocho, but the feeling that you just might have to survive the storm all on your own, your hands will be my hands. When thousands of your dead go uncounted, because in some people's eyes, you've never counted, except for the hours that you picked their mushrooms, cleaned their homes, cooked their food, and raised their children, your hands will be my hands. And when you fall, I will lower my hand to pick you up, dust you off, and shake yours with dignity and respect. Then I will put my hand on your back to push you forward. And when you cast your first vote as a citizen, when you touch your ancestors through the window of tradition, when you fight for yourself, When you fight for what you believe in, when you fight for someone weaker than you, what an honor it will be for your hands to also be mine. Thank you. Okay. So let's see if I can warm up here, if I can get a little energy going. So as you probably heard, it's very quiet in here. Usually that is a sign of my quality of poetry, but it's because we are in the midst of COVID-19. Nobody's allowed in here. We have about 4 people. Everybody's socially distanced and masked responsibly. So I'm trying to draw some energy from the 4 people who are here and the people who will watch this in the future. So I am an extreme sports enthusiast. I like rock climbing, but one of my favorite other sports is cycling. And not cycling in the traditional sense, but I love to ride around the city. And around this time of year in the spring, there is a group of young kids who go through the city doing wild tricks, who have their front wheel popped and they're touching the ground with their other hand, who do just wild things. A lot of people don't like them. I have a soft spot for misfits. I love them. I am not one of them. They would probably not accept me with my little helmet on, using my hand signals. But I love that. And my father was a cyclist, rest his soul. And it's something that I admire, the sort of hardship that cyclists go through, and also the fun that they have. So this poem goes out to them. And who is them? Who are they? They are the boys who pop wheelies on bikes without brakes. Catch us if you can, if you dare, if you want to blow past this stop sign like us, like me, like no helmet, no hand signals, no carbon fiber frame, no spandex and highlighter yellow, no reflection, protection, or discretion through this intersection full of steel and pedestrians. My front wheels popped straight up like 12 o'clock, like midnight, catch us mid-flight, cruising through red lights with flagrants. Broken glass glinting on black pavement, I soar on a clear night sky, hurling exclusively the wrong way down one ways. I'm a runaway slave who repurposed his chain. No underground rail, only Washington and court detour us over the train. Everything is in transit, including humans. And I am loyal only to the movement, a fearless forward toward the drinking gourd, regardless of, and sometimes in opposition to, the laws of traffic and laws of survival. Drivers assume that we are suicidal, but maybe it just takes more for us to feel afraid, to feel alive, to feel. You know, the first people to fly were cyclists, and it's one of the few things that actually makes sense anymore. My nose is up, my wings are out, air 90 pounds per square inch under me. I feel lift without gas, and neighborhood florists push their own pedals in high fashion. Designer leather, but no seatbelts to fasten. My nose is up, my wings are out. I feel like I could spring from spring to canal. The road is an unclear runway for takeoff, and boom! My wheel is up, straight up, like noon, like putting on a show. Midday matinee in the potholed thoroughfares and in the brick-laid, out-of-the-way alleyways, where meticulous masonry is now warped like wet wood is. What has been spilled here to turn straight paths crooked? Roots shoot through the mortars like pistols. Now they say the trees are detrimental to the streets. Well, they tried to bury us, but forgot we were a fistful of seeds. New things take hold, disrupt structure. The ground swells and the rupture's organic. We take to the streets because the sidewalks are manic. Jagged, unruly, urban teeth that grin even when people say that we are reprehensible, that we should be scared or miserable. But we know that space is physical and time is bicyclical. Only so long until we end up back here, balanced on our back wheel, For a moment lighter than the sick relatives and rent that rest on our shoulders. For a moment we don't have to think, just react. For a moment, defiantly joyful even at the threat of injury, like ending up in or on the hood of an enemy. But staying alive and happy is the biggest muscle I can flex. And I have legs like pistons, like t-shirt and one pant leg missing. The dance with danger is the same old two-step. The beat is contagious. We are just cogs in the transmission. Like a hospital health risk is the cost for admission. Row home windows like prisons are gated, houses like cages. We learn to handle bars. This 21-speed mechanism helps me escape it. My nose is up, my wings are out, and I give praise. Thankful for lungs that work like jet engines. Thankful for the humble miracle of not getting hit today. The small blessing of making it home in peace. I am not oblivious to the privilege in fighting up a steep hill, drenched in the glow of red neon, like dripping in sweat, like steam rising off my body, like gasping for air. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being with us here this evening, listening to our 8th Poet Laureate, Jane Reliford Brown, as well as just that outstanding performance by our 9th Poet Laureate, Anthony Orozco. We've come to the point in the program to officially appoint him. Anthony, if I could have you join me.
Oh, thank you very
You're
much.
welcome. Okay.
Thank you.
On behalf of Reading Area Community College, we celebrate you as our 9th Berks County Poet Laureate, Anthony Orozco.
Well, thank you. I am extremely grateful for this honor. Everybody hold their breath. I'm taking off my mask. I am extremely thankful for this honor to be recognized in a community that I love and that I have invested so much work in and passion. Of course, there are people that I need to thank. It would be Berks County, Berks Bards, also RACC, thank you so much for this opportunity. Barrio Allegra for giving me a place to find myself and to help others do the same, and to believe in this city and to build foundations for others to continue that work. My mother is here from Cincinnati, Ohio, and she was the person to encourage me to write. She always believed in me, and I'm going to stop talking about that. And Tatiana Ferronda, who is the love of my life, and who always believes in me and has always supported me. Mateo Toro, you just saw some of his work, and he's actually working today as well, capturing some of this. And as Jane mentioned, the reason I do poetry is not only for myself, it is therapeutic for me, but also I believe that we are all gifted with a light that is our duty to share with other people. And if you hide that, you're doing a disservice to the community. And so I beg everyone who is watching in person and in the future virtually to look in yourself, identify the gift that is innate in you, and to let it shine, and to not be shy, and to be proud of what God, the universe, the cosmos, has built within you. So thank you very much.
As our program comes to a close, certainly it's hard to close a program that just basically left you with such inspiring words. But Berks County, with this tradition of poet laureates, you can see that our arts continue to evolve and to be a thriving place here for young poets and young artists. And certainly Anthony Orozco represents that kind of thriving and evolving that we're doing here in the community. So I just want to thank you on behalf of Reading Area Community College. There's always a place for you here. Whether you are a poet or an artist or an engineer, this is a place that you can grow. Again, thank you on behalf of Reading Area Community College, and have a good night.